Alan's ears steamed as he read me the email from his colleague, Carlos. "He's implying that I've dropped the ball," Alan vented. "Like I haven't delivered my part of the project. I have. And of course he's copied our boss, the VP, and everyone from my assistant to my grandma." For the record, Alan's grandma was not on the CC list. His temper was triggered. His fingers itched to fight back, to defend, to prove. As we talked, I challenged him to check his annoyance and instead imagine positive intent with the help of a magic question. What else could this mean? Boom. What else could this mean is the pinprick in the balloon of your frustration. It's also the fastest way I know to put a damper on those internal flames so that you can think more clearly. When Alan asked himself, what else could this mean? He came up with these potential answers. Carlos didn't realize that Alan's part of the project was complete. Carlos misunderstood what Alan was delivering and expected something else. Carlos was in another conversation with someone CC'd, and this note was attempting to answer their question. Carlos' email was intended to promote himself and had nothing to do with Alan. Carlos is just a poor email writer. Carlos is an evil warthog and wants to sink Alan's career forever. When he imagined more positive intent, Alan realized that the most ink-filled scenario, the last item on the list, was likely not true. He also realized he had no way of knowing the truth. That he, Alan, had many stellar talents, but mind reading was not among them. So he picked up the phone, which, by the way, is often a better way to clarify someone's message than the back and forth drama of email or instant messaging. He told Carlos he'd received his email and said, "I'm wondering if there's something I missed. In your note, it sounded like you were concerned that you hadn't seen my part of the project, but I delivered it to the team on the 25th. Help me understand. Is there something else you needed here?" As it turned out, Carlos wasn't attacking him at all. He just needed another data point, one that Alan offered up on the spot. What would have happened if Alan had fired back a blistering email immediately? We don't know. In the experiment of life, there's no control group. But in hindsight, we can guess it wouldn't have solved a darn thing and could have made things worse. You're not a doormat, you're a welcome mat. When I teach the concept of imagining positive intent to my fast-track coaching clients, I'm used to getting pushback. But I know he's trying to make me look bad in front of our boss. I can't just ignore that. It's pretty clear that she thinks she could do my job better. I need to stand up for myself. Now, I'm not suggesting you become roadkill on the superhighway of your career. I'm suggesting you slow down a step, give people the benefit of the doubt, and maybe extend an iota more trust. Imagining positive intent isn't about letting bullies walk all over you. It's not about looking the other way when true offenses take place. It's about interrupting your brain's natural and often destructive pattern and gathering more information before you respond. When you do this, you'll welcome new possibilities and see things that you didn't before, such as the pressures the other person might be under, personal or professional. The moment that came right before or right after the triggering event happened. The real problem you're wrestling with that you haven't admitted yet. I'll show you how to figure that out in Chapter 5. A bazillion other things that you might never know until you step back and ask. Imagining positive intent is proof of your strength and self-control, not your weakness. Sure, it takes a bit of work, practice, faith, all things you need to rescue during the inevitable calamities that happen in a long and rich professional life. Swap frustration for empathy. Have you ever bought an item of clothing online and once it arrived, you realized you'd chosen a size too small? What do you do then? Well, you can keep it and hope your body changes. Hint, it rarely does. But rather than squeeze into it or let it dissolve into moth food in your closet, the smart thing to do is to exchange it for something that fits you better. You can do the exact same thing with the frustration that comes when someone or something infuriates you at work. Send that frustration back to your lizard brain and exchange it for something that fits you better. And that's empathy. Empathy, or the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling, helps us answer the magic question, what else could this mean? As emotional intelligence expert Daniel Goleman says, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart you are not going to get very far. Applying empathy isn't a woo-woo theory. It's a tangible working tool to use every single day. Here are a few examples of the kinds of things you can choose to think with empathy. I've heard Michelle's son has been sick. Perhaps she was abrupt with me because she's tired or worried, like I'd be if my son was sick. David's still new here. I'm assuming he knows our processes by now, but maybe he doesn't. It took me a while to catch on when I joined the firm. I know my call caught Terrell as he was headed out the door. He may not have had time to really process what I was asking before he said no. I'll try again. When you train your brain to imagine positive intent, you'll see what's happening around you in a new light. Suddenly, you're shining with new possibilities you never would have imagined otherwise.